Please.
Okay. I'm also gonna send a thing to Discord.
Watch, this race is gonna be my first sub 140. Peep it.
Oh, let's go. I'm putting some images on my layout that I may or may not use during the race.
Noted.
I hate this
Egg push so much.
Hey, that might have been a good thing to practice.
Yo,
well.
Pie. Pie wishing you guys good luck from the chat.
Thank you, Pi.
Based
I wish you
on-
good luck in something, whatever you're doing. I don't know.
Pie having a well-earned rest. After running the hell out of this tournament so far.
Is my stream choppy or anything? Because apparently it was yesterday and I didn't notice.
Yeah, it was a little choppy yesterday. It seems fine at the moment, but I mean, there's only so much you can tell on the title screen. It seems fine though. Like, the title screen isn't doing any choppy things, so should be good.
You thought I was not coming.
Yo, Cap!
Nobody.
Nah, we knew you'd come.
Excellent. I'm glad.
Oh, you mother...
So is there a place where we can watch this live?
You should be able to look at my virtual camera. Oh, except it's not working at the moment because I swapped to commentary. Hold up. That would help. There you go.
Ah, hey.
Try
Now
that.
we're cooking with gas.
Yeah.
All right, excellent.
Cool. So that should be the lowest latency, I think.
All right.
So Mr. J is just in the process of getting to EC, just to check the seeds working and everything, and then we will be good to start.
Great.
Mr. J is practicing early games, so he has an advantage over me.
Yep.
Well, Mr. J.
I'm a cheater. I've always been a cheater.
Very cringe.
He got movie
That's okay.
skip in this practice, so if he doesn't go for it in the race, then he's a big weenie, and he deserves to be disqualified.
Noted.
No, no. You're making fun of my pride and ego. My one weakness. Until it's not even working.
If it's not working, we can troubleshoot it. But I have faith. You should be able to tell as you enter anyway, because it'll have the ping.
Yes, that was a very good anti-cheat that someone made a while ago.
Yeah.
The ping.
The ping is very good.
Where even is the...
Did you get the ping? Okay, so what's EC1 looking like?
Well, I need an image.
to check EC1?
So
It's far
EC in
citrus.
general.
It is? I was looking at
Set seed.
Ah, yeah. Other one. Yeah, so
Set
tournament
seed
general.
races.
Oh, yeah, proceed.
It's working.
Sweet.
Is it working?
Yep, that
Set
is the
Seed
right set of
Races
bolt boards.
Is the channel that Pi made when I asked him for a separate channel for like the weekly races stuff.
Yeah.
Alright.
Oh, Tuesday.
Before we start, I need to put my phone to charge.
Before we start, I need to go walk my dog real quick. I'll be back.
Before we start,
I need to go water my goldfish.
Is that a meme or is Curtis actually dipping?
Curtis is so
Mr. J, you can just start.
Yeah.
You can just start. You can just go.
We'll start the time
I won't.
Oh, I'm doing
Load minute right
Yep,
now.
get all your load manips in.
Yeah,
I
get
don't know
all
how
of
to
them in.
count.
All one of them.
Okay, do you even know how to control the Bulborb and make him eat the Pikmin?
This.
Isn't that why?
Is it why?
Might
Maybe
be.
the
No, it isn't.
D-pad or the C-stick.
Yeah, something
I
about
don't
the
think
C stick makes him walk around. Do you have to press like? Yeah, there we go.
C-stick moves the Pikmin around, or is that after he goes on? I don't know.
No, for the Bulborb, the C-stick allow. Anyways, I did load manip, so reload ready.
All right. If you two are both ready, we'll give you guys a countdown. And so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And then once you guys are all set and everything, you guys can dip from the call or we can kick you either way. But you have like 30 seconds to do what you like while you're waiting for the cutscene to play. So easy peasy. All right, good luck to both of you.
All right.
Do you want to do the countdown, Cap?
Sure. All right. So I'm gonna go 3, 2, 1, go, and you hit file select on go, just because sometimes everyone does it differently. So on go, yeah. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
By the way, you should post in the events or community Twitch channel if you haven't already.
Already did.
All
All right, good luck.
Excellent.
And we are off.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna try to see if I can do a good chunk of analysis in early game. I mean, I'm obviously very biased as someone who resets far too much, as I have been told many times. But I do think there's a lot of nuance in early game that I think can separate runners. You know, obviously regardless of seed, and so I think it'll be really interesting to see what's going on. So Mr. J, probably because of stream delay, is going to be a little bit ahead, so I'm just going to look at him first.
Yeah, I think there's about 2 or 3 seconds in there.
That's a nice Bulborb bite. You know, technically the Bulborbs that they're getting, even though it's set seed, are slightly different. Ooh. The Bulborb gets knocked down. That's really unfortunate. Yeah, and Curtis pulls ahead there.
Yeah.
That's sometimes really unfortunate. I didn't even think about that the Bulborb would be different in set seed.
Yeah, true. Well, luckily, both of our runners are getting 1 Pikmin, so that should hopefully make this day 1 extinction trick a little easier.
Mr. J had a little bit of problem on that, and it was because his cursor was a little bit too much to the left. There's a really easy. The main thing though is because he kind of struggled to whistle a little bit. He didn't center the camera as much, which usually the consistent method involves like controlling the camera so that your angles are the same. And so that was a little bit of the reason why there was a problem there. And I don't want to say it's his fault because it isn't, but it's like it shows the importance of keeping the consistency in your angles.
Exactly.
For getting the Pikmin out of bounds. Yeah, it's important.
Well, both of our runners are loading into day 2 here. Only a few seconds apart now, although Curtis has got a little bit of delay, so a little bit more ahead than he looks.
Oh, but Curtis does not have good. These are terrible poses for Curtis.
Oh yeah, this.
I gotta call Legacy. I mean, Mr. J, much better posies. It's you know, it's not a huge deal, but considering the lack of other RNG in the segment, you actually can kind of feel it. There's usually a 3-4 second swing, honestly.
Yeah.
At its extremes, you know, you normally hover around the average, obviously, but like there can be some like extremely close and extremely far posies. Like Mr. J actually probably caught 2 seconds on Curtis just from that. Yeah.
Yeah, just to clarify on that point. So, ooh, nice one shot.
Yeah.
Very solid.
Mr. J was a little bit. Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
No, you're good. Yeah. So nice. They both get the one shot. So this RNG with the posies and everything, because both runners are running on set seed, the cave layouts themselves will be the same, but our other RNG, like above ground RNG, like posies, enemy RNG, egg RNG for mitites and things, that's all still, you know, independent, different between the runners. So you're gonna see differences.
Mr. J
like
just
this
got Louis skip, by the way. Mr. J out here getting Louis skip. If Curtis doesn't go for it, then that is an L.
I have good authority to say that Curtis is not going to go for it.
Yeah,
so
I figured.
That's a good little time save for Mr. J. High risk, high reward.
Mr. J has the sauce. I mean, he's been playing well. I mean, Mr. J kind of, you know, he's really kind of, You know, I mean, it's all on scale, right? But he has leveled up recently. Like, he got a, I don't know the exact date, but like within the last couple weeks, he recently got like a 144 PB, right? Which is now like, he used to be like 140 high, you know, now he's
Yeah.
kind of 140 mid.
Yeah,
You know,
I think it
he's
might have been a
been on the come
140
up.
low. I think it might have been a 142 actually, something like
Oh
that.
no, and didn't know, but it's the Wii U fast, it's the fast
Yeah.
Wii U load, so there's a little bit of, but he got a 141 ish, and it probably would have been a 142. But you know, it would have been, it's a 140 low no matter
Yeah. Either way,
legality and loads aside. Yeah.
schmoovin'.
I mean, Mr. J is ostensibly, even factoring in the lag, Mr. J is ostensibly ahead with Louis Skip.
Yeah.
Virtually ahead.
Yeah, that time save will make itself apparent as we start to enter Emergence Cave.
Enter Emergence Cave, I also think is one. I think when newer runners and even like the mid-level runners, this is where there's like a lot of really small things. The big one here is just really downing this pellet and getting it moving as fast as possible. So like Mr. J here lost the one shot, which like really hurts.
Yeah, and Curtis getting the one
because you
shot.
really want to get the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the meaning is, of course, that you're limited by when that one pellet comes in. So, like, missing that is going to hurt in the long run, because what really lets you go to the bag is when the sprouts come up. You know.
Exactly. So that'll be a
But
thing
Mr.
that
J
comes up a
comes
lot.
out.
Yep, you go.
Oh, yeah, no, they're now very... Mr. J was actually ahead into day 4. And now they're even,
Yeah.
basically. Oh, they're virtually even because Mr. J... Sorry, because Curtis was a little bit more diligent on getting that. And then, yeah, and I think... but honestly, they're kind of even. You know, Mr. J did Purdue a little bit of practice here.
Yeah, no major disasters. Like, it's all very minor things, differences between the runners at this point. But all of those minor differences do add up.
Yeah. A good IRL thing to note, though, also is like when the oh, Mr. J is not going for egg push. That's interesting.
Interesting.
Okay, well,
Louis skipping no egg push.
Louis, that is I must say that is a little bizarre.
Little
So for one reason or another, I would have to look it back, but Mr. J doesn't get the stagger here, which is a little brutal.
Yeah, I think he one shot the 5 pellet on the left and then threw the 5 to the pellet on the right before reloading the other one.
Heartpiece, that's such a good observation. And by the way, this is one of those small things where that's why that kind of stuff matters. Is you would think, oh, well, it doesn't exactly matter what order I do it in, but that's not true. It does matter a whole lot because like that stagger changes how fast you can pluck all these things. Curtis showing off the time save of egg push though.
Yeah.
Right? They were basically even into the plucking, and then Curtis, just by getting the egg down there, turns out that moving all of your leaf Pikmin up to that ledge is very slow. Right? I mean, moving leaf Pikmin in general is miserable.
Very true. Yeah, that might offset most of the Louis skip time save that Mr. J's
Yeah,
gonna get,
I mean,
actually.
egg push... Yeah, I don't want to say definitively exactly how much, but it's no joke. So Mr. J, I don't know if he even recognized this, but he actually got a 2-4 where there's 2 on the one pellet and 4 on the pellet. And when you're in this situation, what I do is I switch back to Louis, right? And I switch it to 1-5 to speed this up a little bit. What Mr. J can do here, though, is he can put these 2 on the bullboard now, which is fine. It's just not quite as optimal as doing the swap earlier, which is what I do at the top level. And that's why you leave Louis, is that you can do that right after loading the 40 Pikmin on the gate. The saving grace, though, and the reason why it's not too much of a big deal, is the most important thing is getting 40 Pikmin onto the gate. Because the gate is actually, you know, because the 40 Pikmin who are currently working on the gate are doing way more damage than getting these 12 Pikmin on it later, you know? And so as long as 40 Pikmin are on the gate hitting it, you know, Mr. J got the gate down actually faster than Curtis did.
Yeah, I think Curtis might have put more on the...
Mr. J just kind of fumbled the carries a little bit, but I think you're right in that Curtis is still, I think by doing egg push, I think Curtis is going to pull ahead.
Ooh.
And, you know, slightly cleaner movement and
Very
a whole bunch of really
though.
small things. I mean, yeah, I think this is one of those things where I think maybe even like a couple months ago, it wouldn't be as close. but you know, like Mr. J has just been playing better, and I think it definitely really helps.
Yeah. So entering our first cave of the run, our runners only a few seconds apart, which is pretty bloody good.
Yeah, I mean, definitely going into this. See, Curtis is okay. So Curtis Curtis didn't have a complete load on the citrus. He had 20 instead of 25, but then he went and he loaded the faster treasure, the bottle cap first. I think he should have topped up that load. Just because, you know, the citrus is slow, and making sure that the slow things are moving as fast as they possibly can. I mean, that's just the subtle optimization, especially on EC1 where, you know, you kind of have this control. Interestingly, both of them go for the bug body
Wow.
on floor 1. I'm actually shocked
That
they
is.
did.
So most runners will try and get the bug body cutscene on floor 2 of the Merchant's Cave while the globe is moving. So you can have multiple things
Right.
happening at the same time. But both of our runners almost simultaneously getting it on EC1. Very, very interesting.
And I don't want to flame him, but Curtis actually entered before Mr. J, and Mr. J basically caught up because of the mistake on loading the citrus.
Yeah.
But the fact that they both got a body is very interesting.
Mm.
I think in a race, I think the idea of Lens being in flux is a little bit more scary, because I think being behind on money is I think Mr. J played around with he's playing around with the leaves too much here. He did some dismiss tricks and he did some other stuff, and I think he played around with the Pikmin too much, and we can see on the side by side that it cost him actually, you know, a fair bit of seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, these are all subtleties, of course.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
but on a consistent sub level, aside from Bulbul RNG, like EC2, you know, it's all these little things that really add up and start making the difference between what's like a really high level top perfect EC2 and something that might lose 5 to 10 seconds over a good one.
I think the main thing is I think the path to becoming a top run, like, you know, like a lot of being a top runner is honestly sometimes caring more. It's like it's recognizing that these things matter and making a more conscious effort to not do them, you know?
Absolutely, Cap.
Yeah, and that's half of it.
Yeah. I think the other part of experience is also working out what you should care about. Because trying to care about everything is obviously kind of a path to failure. But, you know, working out the things that are important.
Geez.
That's...
I mean, that's something that I always struggled with. I mean, it's a hard. I'm gonna say is I think that's a hard thing even at the top level, right? I mean, as you get better and better, you know you get faster and you understand the minutia. But I think understanding what to care about is very hard. I did notice Curtis actually did have a little bit of trouble killing those Bulborbs. You know, missing that one shot really hurt. And because of that, he actually didn't get either of the Bulborbs. So Mr. J is behind, but he now has a little bit more money.
Yeah, he is up 4 Pokos.
Yeah. And Curtis is 1 Pikmin down, which is kind of surprising because he got Louis. I mean, he got Louis skip, so I think he should, or he didn't get Louis skip, so I think he has now the even amount of purples. Sorry, not purples, Pikmin as Mr. J, but losing one in EC always hurts, honestly, even mentally.
Yeah.
Curtis has some rock solid mental, especially on early game though, so I doubt he's phased. But we are still quite close into we are quite close into going into day whatchamacallit. Mr. J has a slightly faster loads, and you can you actually kind of see that on the because Curtis was a little bit ahead going into the end of day menuing, and now he comes up a little bit on top.
Yeah,
which is just to show that like when you talk about fast Wii loads and stuff, that's why we think days are really important, right? That's why most of the time save, I don't want to say most, but like as a percentage, such a large part of the time save that you get from a fast Wii is like in the first 3 days, because the constant end of days, like that is where the differences in loads really come out.
Yeah, even just looking at that one just there, like that was 3 seconds. Like the runners synced up exactly on like the very end of the day, and then Mr. J is now 3 seconds ahead coming in. So those sorts of things are pretty chunky.
Yeah. over the course of the entire run, I mean, I still think that there's, there's obviously people's behavior and their skill is gonna come through, but like I think it is the bane. I almost wish it didn't matter so much,
Exactly.
because but it is unfortunately just the nature of the game that we play.
Very true.
I like how Curtis is loading these one pellets. This is another in this split as well. This is another thing where the small things of how you properly load the 5 objects, the 2 one pellets and the 3 grubs, really can affect how this split goes. I don't know if he's in chat watching, but famously, the Urban Deer has been really good about figuring out exactly how to do that. He's been really good at figuring out this split, honestly.
Yeah. It may seem like a really simple split, you're just growing a certain amount of Pikmin, you're knocking down a gate. But optimizing how you get the various different things you need to collect to grow those Pikmin, optimizing getting enough Pikmin on the gate early enough to make that difference, all of those things start adding up. And it's possibly going to be pretty clear here. Mr. J has had a little bit of a rougher time at knocking down some of these pellets, organizing his Pikmin to get all of the different things he needs to collect. Ooh, but never mind.
The fights is pretty monka-esque.
We have our first mishites of the run.
but just as an example, Mr. J, because of the end of the day, we saw that Mr. J was ahead going into this day, and I wonder. Oh, with the Matites, Curtis is gonna get the gate's gonna come down a little bit later. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's one for Curtis. Sorry, that's one for Mr. J.
Yeah.
With that happening, but the only real bummer is, of course, that those Matites honestly hurt a lot, because if you get Matites, like underground, you can sometimes collect them. You can get some of that money, and it's not fast, but it does make you kind of feel like that you can get some victory out of it. But those above ground, like, you actually can't really collect those Matites to do anything with them.
Yeah, exactly. It's
So
just
it
raw
hurts a
time
lot.
loss. Yeah.
One thing that Curtis did here that Mr. J didn't is he more aggressively... Oh, they burrowed too fast. I was going to say that he more aggressively chased C-sticking the bugs, but they actually burrowed, so he didn't get that bug money either.
Good treasure layout,
Yeah,
though.
no. Oh, I mean, yeah, this is a nice layout. Hole of Beasts is kind of interesting, if I'm going to be honest, because Hole of Beasts is one where there is like this kind of direct correlation where the worse the Hole of Beasts is, the more money you get, because you can get more bugs. And so, I mean, Ice Cube, the famous Ice Cube, and I were once talking years ago about how if you could pick one layout to not get good RNG on, it would be Hole of Beast 1. Because you can get more bugs on Hole of Beast 1. Whereas there's a lot of other sub-levels that when it's slow, it's just time loss,
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's something our runners are going to have to be watching out for the whole time, is this bug money count that they're collecting as they go. And if you get really good RNG, that's fantastic. You can just blitz through all of these floors really quickly. But unfortunately, sometimes that comes at the cost of not putting enemies in your way, and you're not going to get that bug money that you need to be able to pay off the debt. So you're going to have to put more time later, if you're not paying careful attention, to building up that bug money or getting a extra treasure or something at the end. So it's this really odd balance between good RNG and bad RNG, and which one causes what time loss in what spot. So
yeah, I mean, this has always been what makes Pikmin 2. Oh, I really like, by the way, Curtis. I'm sorry, I will continue this, but what Curtis did really well here that I think you have to be more aggressive on this particular 3 layout, right, is if you're too slow to the chimney, it can be really rough here because there's a long path that you have to go to. And so Mr. J, you'll notice that Mr. J, the Cosmic Archive is a little bit in front of the mandala, but for Curtis, the mandala is in front of the Cosmic Archive. And that is how you know that Curtis did this correctly. Because the mandala actually is the one that has this really long path time. So getting that going first is really good. And then that treasure moves during lockout. It's a very subtle optimization, but I actually am very impressed that Curtis picked up on that.
yeah.
It should be said, of course, that I mean, Mr. J is obviously. I mean, he is currently in the lead. I mean, Mr. J is playing this quite well. You can see. It is really interesting to see how people play 4, though. I mean, 4 is like, people have called it the first complicated floor in the game. And it's not terribly complicated, but, it's the first one that has any real complexity to it.
Definitely. There's various different strategies you can do into this floor, and I mean the positioning of everything, where this candy cane shaped room is, where the bowl orb is, if the card's in the candy cane room or not. All of those things are things you have to decide on the fly as how to play this the best. And it's a small floor. It doesn't feel like it would make that much of a difference, but it really, really does.
Yeah. Actually, I'm surprised that both of them did something that I don't really agree with here. They both, Curtis... Both Curtis and Mr. J loaded the card before loading the Bulborb and the Dream Architect fully, which to me is, frankly, a strange choice, just because the card is very fast, right? Like, Curtis loaded the card first, and he's still waiting on the other things to get in. I feel like sometimes I see that, and I feel like it's just a little bit of a misplay sometimes, because, you really want to... you want to get the slower stuff moving faster, because you're usually going to be waiting on the bodies. But they still hustled, and they're pretty even. But Curtis fumbled a little bit less with his Pikmin, and I think it was able to recognize it faster, and that's what leads him going into sub-level 5 a little bit ahead. I suppose Fast Empress is going to be the next thing that we got to look at, right?
True. Looks like Mr. J is going for fast, but not fastest Empress. And Curtis doing the same.
Curtis
nice.
sometimes takes his sweet time doing these things, but he is really consistent. I actually am super glad that both of them get it.
Oh, same. This is definitely a stress point.
Well, these races are very close, and when they're really close, going down by 15 seconds, which is the penalty for missing it, really hurts. Mr. J actually getting a little bit of a bad treasure placement, so that's unfortunate.
True. So the spot where that gauge can fall out of Empress when she dies is pretty much just RNG. It can be really close to the body, up the very front, nearer to the ship, which is good, or it can be way off near the geyser, and it's gonna have to get carried further and take more time. So that is not at our runner's decision, unfortunately. Nice.
We usually don't talk about it too much later on. Well, mostly because we don't really fight that many bosses later on, truth be told. But it's also a little bit mitigated later on when you have whites. Versus, here, especially when, the gauge is really far away. It helps a White Flower Garden, but it makes a much bigger difference in Holobis. When just, you have slower carriers.
Absolutely. Ooh, so Mr. J having to manage a couple of leaves here. It's going to be a bit of a problem.
You throw one, and then I would start throwing reds if I were him. Just because waiting for that leaf purple is going to take too long.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he knows. Yeah, look at that,
yeah.
This is, I noticed that, though, that he was having trouble. Oh, you're too close. The purple leaves are kind of awkward. Yeah, no.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
You're too close. You got to stand back. Okay, there you go. Yeah. So, purples have a slightly lower arc when you throw them. But that means if you're standing right up next to a ledge, the purples actually might clip, and they might arc weird. That's just unfortunate time loss. But those are the kind of small mechanics that's important to keep in mind.
Ooh, Curtis losing a purple on White Flower Garden 1. Unfortunate.
Yeah, losing a purple. Purples are this very interesting thing in Pikmin 2 where, it's not the end of the world, honestly. I'm not too worried for him, but it's just, the more purples you lose now, the less you can lose later, you know what I mean?
Exactly. So this is another one of those situations where bad RNG is hopefully good for bug bodies. So this is the worst possible White Flower Garden 1 layout. The treasure you have to go all the way across to get to the treasure, and the treasure has to go all the way across back. But hopefully you can collect as many bug bodies on the way as possible so that they all come in.
Yeah. Being diligent in your bug body collection, especially on that stuff, is really good.
Yeah.
Both of them are very good on, oh, never mind. Well, Mr. J honestly is, think a little bit low on money actually, and I wonder if he didn't get the Matites or if something happened there for the timing. Just because I noticed he's a little low.
Yeah, possibly.
Curtis is getting the Blowhog here, which I'm a huge fan of the Blowhog here, especially in this configuration where I don't think it loses much time. You know, the 4 Pokos, you know, as usual, 4 Pokos here helps 4 Pokos later.
Very true.
Yeah. Mr. J's also going for it, which is good. Curtis put some Pikmin on it earlier. I don't think that's necessarily necessary. Necessarily necessary a little bit, which is an unnecessary wording. The problem is I don't think Mr. J put enough Pikmin on the Blowhog. We will see if it collects for him.
Yeah, leaving it all with purples and putting them on quite late is maybe a bit iffy if it's going to come in time.
Well, the main thing is I just don't I don't even see why you. Yeah, now it's kind of a rough moral decision whether or not you leave it. To me, of course, the whole thing is like the other treasure is close. You can put reds on the Blowhog and still have enough to carry the thing. I agree with waiting for the body there, though. In my opinion, like it's a couple seconds, but I think the bug buddy matters, especially because I think he's actually running a little low. So
yeah, I agree.
think that's an. Curtis doesn't go for early wisp. He got bamboozled.
Damn.
Something went down.
7 years of time loss. Unfortunately.
7 years.
Give or take.
Or bad luck, which is, you know, worse.
True.
7 years of bad luck?
Oof. Yeah, you definitely won't want that as a Pikmin 2 runner.
Yeah, true. Someone should ask Urban if he's broken any mirrors lately, you know?
I feel like that man
someone
must
should
have broken
about that.
several.
I'm like, bro, do you just walk under ladders on your way to the shower, or like, what's going on, dog? We need to have a conversation. Mr. J got a little bit too fancy. He like tried kind of like dismissing the whites on there, like onto the dig site, but something went wrong and not all the whites grabbed on, and I think Mr. J kind of got a little bit too fancy there. Like sometimes you try to do like complicated Pikmin movement, and it can end up biting you in the butt a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes simple is very much more effective.
We've all been. I mean, any top runner can tell you. I mean, we've all been guilty sometimes of making a problem more complicated than it needs to be. Myself included, for sure. So I understand the desire to do that, but yeah, it's rough. Mr. J got a couple of Pikmin onto the bar though, so that's good.
That's always a good omen.
Yeah, but you gotta have your eye on the clock because, you know, I love doing random stuff during White Flower Garden 3, but. You know, you got to make sure that you're getting to the hole in time. Yeah, you see, he was a little bit silly there. 4 is really nice. I'm seeing on Curtis's end, very nice, and you don't have to get through any poison, and so Curtis really takes advantage of that. Let's see if Mr. J can recognize it as well. You see, Mr. J dismisses here. Fine, but like he didn't need to, and waiting for the Pikmin to separate. It's just slightly suboptimal. So Curtis seems to kind of be a little bit of better Pikmin management overall. Seems to have pulled Curtis ahead here. It's kind of subtle though, right? Because it kind of started with Mr. J just having a couple extra leaf purples, you know?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff cascades big time.
Yeah, so no major disasters for our runners just yet, but yeah, it's all just little things adding up.
For sure.
Nice kill on Snagret by Curtis.
I just realized, yeah, fast get up and slow get up probably also aren't something that's decided by set seed.
True.
One got fast and one got slow.
Ooh.
I actually used to know which one was faster. I actually am now blanking on which one is faster. I think fast get up is technically faster than slow.
Yeah, I think so.
Someone in because in slow get up, you know, it dies, but no, fast get up is slower. For pileated is obviously is fast get up is faster, but fast get up is slower for the snagret because you don't have to wait through the eating animation.
Ah, true.
And slow get up, you just destroy it and it goes. Yeah, it took me a second though. It took me a second to remember which is which.
Okay, Curtis playing it nice and safe and saving after White Flower Garden 5. Even though both runners are running on early blues patch, so the soft lock that can sometimes happen with this trick coming up is hopefully not going to be a worry for our runners. But still, EB is a hard trick. Anything can happen. It's always good to have that little safety that in case something goes wrong, you can just pop back to White Flower Garden 5 and pop back in.
Yeah, I mean, we've all. I mean, it's one of those things where even though this never happens like in running, like sometimes there's been times where I mess up and accidentally warp back to the ship, or accidentally warp back to White Flower Garden, in a way that's like basically unrecoverable.
Oh, exactly.
Um,
Especially in a race.
It is possible in those situations. It's possible you can use like the dice cutscene and. You're still losing a lot of time, but
Nice.
yeah, but yeah, no, seems to have no problems. Mr. J, I'm also assuming will suffer no problems.
Yep.
Yep, no, this is good. So the first piece of RNG separating these runners, I mean, more distinctly separating these runners more than posies. Nice, good job, Mr. J.
There we go.
Okay, is of course there's gonna be this blue knapsack coming up. For if somehow people are not aware of in the chat, there's a 1/3 chance of blue that you kind of have to scum for. And
Third
so
try?
gets it,
Not bad.
third try is pretty good.
Yeah.
There's a 70% chance that you get it within the first 3 tries, but but as usual, runner luck rarely follows such nice statistics, and so it's not abnormal to sometimes see 4th, 5th, 6th try.
Absolutely. Mr. J going for it now. Let's see how lucky he is. Well, less lucky than Curtis. But only barely. 4th try. Not bad.
Yeah, 4th try is not too bad.
Yeah. Definitely take those.
Let's go. Yeah, no, I mean, it's still a pretty close race. I mean, I think it's really probably only a couple of seconds separating. I mean, within 30 seconds, I think, separating the 2 runners.
Definitely.
It's just this is one of the things where, especially on above ground, Curtis has been excelling a little bit more. I think Curtis's early game is solid too, but I think early game is probably some of his more like weaker things. He's very much like a low reset, like I just want to get out of it, but he's been really grinding sort of the mid game above grounds, and so we see that come through a little bit more. Curtis gets an extra blue. Sorry, not Curtis. Mr. J gets an extra blue though, which is not a terribly large time save, but it will lead to better numbers and better time overall later on.
Every little bit helps.
Curtis could have aggressively C-sticked onto the marble there. There was this interesting and somewhat frustrating mechanic in Pikmin 2, right? Where like every single time a new Pikmin grabs onto a treasure, right? Like how the treasure stops, and it like reroutes, like it thinks, even if nothing changes, like the numbers gray out and it stops.
Gotta
and,
recalculate.
Yeah, it's like gotta recalculate, and that's why I think aggressively max loading something with Pikmin is very nice because it doesn't lag. Like when more Pikmin can't grab on and slow it down as it recalculates.
Oof. So Curtis loading into one of the slightly more heavy RNG floors of the run, Snagret Hole 2, and not looking like a fantastically favorable layout. This water crossing that he's going to have to do here is going to be a little bit of an annoyance. Means that he's going to have to ferry all of his Pikmin across this water, and he's also going to have to worry about them coming back. Because of the physics of the level, sometimes when Pikmin are carrying a big treasure across this little like wooden bridge, they love to just fall off and fall in the water. If they're not loaded on camera. So he's going to have to pay close attention to
Considering that all the RNG is the same though, I think there's some things that are going for it for sure though, where like, Curtis knows Mr. J has the same RNG, and within the confines that this is a race where 2 players have the same RNG, there are some nice things that that you have about this layout. I mean, the first one that I want to point out actually is that, you know, there's some bugs, right? So the chrysanthemum is actually quite the chrysanthemum is actually quite nice.
Yeah,
you know,
having
like,
that
it's 7
close
tokos.
Yeah.
And you know, and you can argue in a maybe a regular speed run, there might be the slight annoyance of like, wow, this is really slow. There's a lot of combat to do, etc., etc. But within the confines of the race, it's a little bit more tolerable because it's like everyone has to deal with the same RNG, and yeah, at least, you know, we're gonna be bug rich.
Very true. Both of our runners look like they've taken the opportunity to collect the first chrysanthemum body, so that's going to net them both 7 Pokos, which is good. Both our runners paying careful attention to keeping the strawberry loaded as it goes over that wooden bridge, which is very good.
Something that we've only been more diligent about, I want to say, within the last year. Like, I mean, not like super recently. But the reason why we do that is sometimes Pikmin can actually fall off while grabbing the strawberry, and we used to not know why that happened, and then we realized there was some off-screen shenanigans, and so that's why we load it. You know, it's just, you don't have to, but it's safer, because if you don't, then some bad things can happen. Still very close. Mr. J actually just kind of, you know, booked it, and actually saved a little bit of time on Curtis over. I mean, Curtis was like maybe a full sub-level ahead. Now he's only a half sub-level ahead. So, very, very, very good in that regard.
So Curtis
Now we're
about
gonna
to...
go on to 4.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
Another heavy
For
RNG
sure.
level of the run, to some extent.
So you can sometimes tell a lot about this from, like, the gauge. You know, this is one where the gauge kind of has a lot of information. So just looking at how the gauge is going up as he's entering this room means that the buried is the falling beetle is probably pretty close.
Yep. There we go.
And there it is. And it kind of popped up behind him, but I think that if Curtis, I don't know exactly how intentional that was, but like, if Curtis was really focusing on the gauge, then he maybe could have anticipated, right, that it was coming.
Ooh.
Because right as I said that, you know. But I like how Curtis played this otherwise.
Ah. Oh no. He played that first watery blowhog near the marble really masterfully, and then unfortunately got caught by the other one with some Pikmin.
So did Mr. J, actually.
Yeah. Both of them getting...
Mr. J's gonna lose a purple. But I suppose it's kind of karma because, I mean, or not karma, but like, you know, Curtis also lost a purple, so
Yeah.
I would say it's not the end of the world.
Pretty even Stevens on that one.
Mr. J really rushed down this floor. I mean, you can see actually how Mr. J kind of caught Curtis here a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, still, you know, Curtis is still ahead, but he used to be maybe like 30 seconds ahead, whereas now it's a little bit closer to like 10, 15. And I think it's because Mr. J didn't kill the small bulbs. He took that a little bit faster, I think. And he lost a purple for it, but I mean, it was a decision that he made tactfully. 5 is really brutal because if Curtis just happens to find the one with the marble before Mr. J, then it's going to be...
And there we go.
The marble's right there. Nice.
Solid.
Well, the good news is it's probably unlikely that Mr. J is going to miss that.
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh.
No, never mind. He is not.
I guarantee you that Mr. J is going to go back and check that, though.
Oh, absolutely.
The problem is, what if he doesn't? What if he wastes too much time checking around over here? Yeah, see,
Yeah.
This is the only problem. Yeah,
Ooh.
nope, this is the only problem. Now Mr. J is checking and being and not being slow. See, like, he doesn't know. Like, this is the reason why actually I think it's wise. This is why I think it's actually wise to kill bulborbs on the way down. I mean, there is a really strong argument of like, why don't you like get the antenna beetle moving first, and why are you killing something if you don't know that it's in it? But I think the probability that you get the marble like that you know the marble's location really speeds up how you play the rest of this level.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
so I think it's a rough call, but I think like, you know, in that case, Mr. J not killing those bulbarbs that in the first room actually probably made him waste more time, you know?
Yeah.
He otherwise played pretty well though. I mean, he rushed to the whistle, and that's pretty good.
Yeah. Everything else aside from that, very good. Just a little unfortunate he didn't
SH5
catch
is
them.
one where I think in races it's just so aggravating, right? And while
Yeah.
looking at the difference, because if you see someone miss it, it's just it hurts.
Yeah. Okay. So both of our runners are moving into one of the deciding kind of floors. Will they get the bonus treasure on this floor with 120 Pokos or not? Ooh. Ooh.
Oh, but it's guarded. It's guarded. Oh, this is a whack layout. I'm very interested to see. So it might be. Oh,
Oh no, it's
Curtis
gated.
is in trouble.
Oh, Mr. J also a little bit suffering.
I think it's not worth it. I think you gotta go.
Oh,
I think Curtis is smart.
yeah.
No, stop trying to save it, Curtis. You gotta kill the Snagret.
That Bulbob is stuck now, because that Red is not going to be able to get out of the water, but it's also not going to be able to get eaten, and so that Bulbob's going to be stuck in an eating animation the whole time.
Curtis and Mr. J took a little bit longer to figure it out. I
Yeah.
think the better part of Valor is just not doing that, but yeah, that's a really rough one.
Yeah.
The main thing is like you could have tried to kill the something happened with Curtis on the
Ooh.
affiliated. Sorry, I was looking
Threw a
at
bit
Mr. J
fast,
for
I
a second.
think. Maybe.
Oh, that
I didn't
hurts.
quite catch it.
Yeah. Well, if nothing else, also Curtis is kind of in a rough spot where he killed 2 whites.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm usually the jerk who's like, "Run's dead. You killed whites." Whereas, whereas Mr. J only killed reds mostly.
Yeah.
Oh, weird position for the treasure for Mr. J. But like, you know, and I'm sure it's fine. But this is the kind of thing where like that more noticeably hurts. And I think Mr. J hasn't maybe tapped into how good Nectar is, or unless he goes back and Nectars it now. Yeah, but he could. You see, he could have gone into that alcove and Nectared, like his whites, but I think he chose not to here.
Yeah. So as Pi says in the chat very correctly, the Snagret that was kind of guarding that Bulbob was actually the one with TST.
See, that is interesting, but here's the thing. Like, Heart Piece, I'm just gonna keep it 100 with you. TST's bad.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't think
It's-
it would have been worth it, but
Well, I think the problem is like the time that it takes to fight a Snagret, unless the Snagret is right next to spawn. The time that it takes to fight a Snagret and then carry the treasure back is probably slower than just getting Aquatic Mine.
yeah, no, I agree with you. And you're only getting 70 Pokos, like 60 from the treasure plus 10 from the head for the TST.
And
So.
of course you have to wait for the head versus Aquatic Mine with 80. So like yeah, like it's not even. It's like very arguably not worth.
Yeah, definitely.
But this is still quite a close race.
Oh, absolutely. Both of our runners making their way through into Bulblack's Kingdom. There's another above ground split where they're gonna grow a whole bunch of blues. But they are pretty bloody close.
Yeah, this is where Mr. J might have we will see if it matters, but Mr. J has a very small advantage here because he has more blues, but that might only help growing, and it might only help the globe slightly. It really depends on how much he's able to take advantage of it. This is one where Curtis notably has very good mid-game above grounds. I know he's been practicing them a lot recently, which is great. But the downside is, of course, is that it's only, those kind of things only are as good as, you have whites that he's missing.
Yeah.
So like those whites are gonna really hurt.
Absolutely. So another one of these not determined by set seed kind of RNG things is the 5 pellets that come out of the Glint Beetle on the way to that globe. And both of our runners getting the exact same RNG by complete chance of 2 blue and 1 red. So not too bad. That's pretty good.
That is actually very insightful, Harpies. I did not focus too cleanly on... Ooh, Mr. J accidentally messing up this first knapsack.
Having a little bit of
messed
trouble.
up this knapsack can be very tricky. Actually today in my most recent run that I did before this race, I messed up that first part just because sometimes it just doesn't behave.
Exactly.
It's rough.
Indeed. But Mr. J is luckily not getting hit by a cutscene or anything while doing the second knapsack as well, so he's all good. He's in the clear, which is good.
Yep. Everything is collecting. Yeah, so now we see Curtis is speeding up the globe, which is probably a good position. The globe is moving a little bit slower for him because, I mean, it turns out that whites are really fast, and conversely, missing these whites is pretty brutal. And it just means that the globe is going to be a little bit slower for him than normal. So Mr. J also lost a fair bit of Pikmin. He lost reds instead of whites, so he doesn't suffer quite as much on the globe, but some synchronized cutscenes.
Very nice.
Not the same cutscene, sadly, but so yeah, Mr. J is about 10-15 seconds behind, just by guesstimating here, just based on like the cutscenes. But Mr. J is hanging on. I mean, it should be said that from a seed perspective, you know, Curtis has the seeding advantage.
That's
and
true.
Curtis actually recently PB'd as well. You know, he's been playing really hot. But
Yeah.
but you know, this has been pretty entertaining. And Mr. J really cleaned up. You know, he used to not have really the technical consistency to do above grounds really well, but just again in this kind of push that he's gone from being at the 146 level to like the 142 level. I think that he's really become more consistent. And you know, I think that's I think that's part of the reason why he's been a lot faster recently.
Yeah, I agree. And that is on full show today as well. With the comparison between these two runners. Like you said, Curtis did come into this the highest seed, but this is a very close race.
Oh, for sure. So, Mr. J, what he didn't do here, which is kind of interesting, is normally you would load, and I'm wondering if maybe it's just nerves, or but I think that was just a little bit of nerves. The only bummer with this is that well, the bullboard was moving faster than this treasure is carried, but if you notice, and this is a little factor, it's hard because this doesn't come into play until much later in the run, but Mr. J didn't get that bug body. Which is 7 Pokos. The orange bullboard corpse is 7 Pokos. I'm like, that is gonna play in pretty big, actually.
Yeah, neither of these runners are sitting on any bonus treasures at this point, so the bug bodies are going to be a pretty big factor as we get later and later into this run. So that is going to hurt a little.
Things where you know, you're kind of borrowed the real concept of borrowed time, if you will, you know, because you know, if you know, they might be even now, but if Mr. J has to get lens, then suddenly, you know, being 10 seconds behind could become, you know, 15, sorry, not lens, love nugget, you know, being 10 seconds behind can become 15 seconds behind to 30 really real quick.
Absolutely.
Yeah. BK4 is a much easier but similar version to SH5, in which I'm really interested to see if one of the runners gets mixed, because of course BK4 has 2 enemies that are hidden, and therefore they're not beholden to score at all, and so
you really got to rely on that gauge and not get too turned around. Curtis choosing to grow some purples here as well, which I'm not opposed to that choice whatsoever.
I actually am, for maybe some surprising reasons. So in the old route HP, I'm 100% with you in that, like, why not grow extras? With the quote-unquote new, I mean, it's a year old now, but with the Valley Repose cleanup kind of being first, there's some complications, right? Because, so normally, right, visualize this, Mr. J not growing purples for whatever reason, by the way, just while I explain this. But normally, right, you have 20 purples, 20 whites, and then you can get 60 blues for the gate, right? But if you grow purples, that's less whites on the gate. Sorry, if you grow more purples, that's less blues on the gate, not whites. Sorry. Right? Because normally you get 60 blues, but if you grow more purples, you can only have 55 blues, which is going to affect, you know, how rapidly you.
That's definitely true, but
Yeah.
granted, just because he's growing them doesn't mean he has to actually get all of them out of the ship. So he could still get out the right numbers, right? And he'll just have them just in case. And I'm not entirely sure. I didn't catch his purple numbers before he went in, but I'm not sure if he's lost a whole bunch of purples yet or not. Because he's definitely lost 1 or 2 here or there. So it might be patching it up a little bit, also a bit of a safety net. So I think there's 50-50. It'd be interesting to see how he plays it.
Still ahead of, you're right. I mean, he's still ahead of Mr. J out of it. I just think growing purples is less strong in the new route. I guess I'm just trying to.
I agree. Oh, Mr. J getting a little turned around by that BK5. Oh, there we go.
Yep. No.
Definitely a weird
going
one.
the wrong way. Yeah, that's a brutal one. Oh, close.
Ooh.
Close bulwark. So I like the lure.
Mhm.
The lure is a very useful tool here.
Very good.
The main thing is, does Curtis know where the goal is? He's gonna go this way, but does he know the school is this way? You know, HP, you were singing the praises of this earlier, but yeah, see, it's not over there. You were singing the praises of Lowdown View, and I can't help but wonder if Lowdown View could have solved some of these problems.
Possibly. It is a little hard with that alcove being around the corner, in that room, in that particular layout that they've gotten, but... And I guess this one wouldn't have been that easy to spot from Lowdown either, so I'm not sure how much it would have helped here, but I am definitely still a big fan. I think...
Mr. J, honestly, like, he didn't lure, but he actually had faster recognition than Curtis, and it shows, I mean, there's still the cutscene differential, but he actually loaded the, he basically is now even with loading the skull.
Ooh, it's gotten picked up. There we go. Handled.
But it's, like, they not really evened it up. It's interesting because, you know, the luring is good, but on 6, the luring isn't really that good unless, unless you know where the skull is.
Yeah, especially if you're doing the luring before you've done anything with the other treasure. Because, I mean, if you're luring it while the other treasure's moving, then that movement of the bulb orb isn't really going to matter. But if you haven't, like, loaded the other treasure first, it doesn't really matter if you lure it or not, because that treasure's going to be moving while you're getting to the skull anyway. So it doesn't matter if it has to go a bit further. So 100%
correct, Harvey.
Yeah.
You absolutely nailed it. And I think that's why I'm kind of I'm now, like, the lure is, like, nice, but these things are all of the decisions in Pikmin 2 are very context dependent.
Absolutely.
Right? So, like the lure in a vacuum was cool, but, like, based on the fact that he didn't really know where the skull was, that isn't where his energy should have been focused at, right? It should have just been slam purples onto it and figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that makes, like, Pikmin 2 such a challenging but also really rewarding speed game, is that you can have a strategy like that where, oh, if the bulb orb's there, lure it. But, you know, you have all these other factors that you've really got to keep in your head about, like, oh, well, what else is going on? What are the other things happening? And then trying to work out, is it still the best decision given everything else going on, is always definitely one of those things where you really got to sit there and think about it for a little bit, but you don't really have that much time to do so.
No, I mean, sitting and thinking is only will get you so far. Also in a speedrun, you know, there's this constant battle between that and action. Mr. J actually lost 2 whites on BK4. Wollywog just smashed them, so they're they kind of regained some egalitarian, like their Pikmin numbers are now a little bit more equal. But Curtis obviously has the 5 purple advantage, and maybe that will become a problem, maybe that won't.
Maybe.
But
it'll definitely become clear in the next above ground.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind is looking at the Pikmin the Poco values, because that also will tell a little bit of a story here. So Curtis is at 4932, which is fine, but Mr. J is at 4905.
Is he still waiting for the body or not? Ooh, no, he's not. Okay. Yeah. So that's
And
a
this
solid
is-
differential.
But like, oh no, he did.
Oh,
He got
okay.
it. He heard the sound. I don't think we did, but he heard the sound.
Gotcha. Okay, a little bit less of a difference, but
even though it's
still,
like-
12 Pokos.
12 yeah, I mean, I'm just pointing it out, right? That 12 Pokos. But if you extrapolate that difference over the next two caves, I mean, that 12 might become 24.
Yeah.
And the difference
exactly.
in 24 Pokos is, you know, the difference between needing to farm bodies and not, which is, like, going to be definite time save later on.
Absolutely.
I'm actually going to step out literally just for 300 seconds, Heartpiece. Less than
You're
that.
all
like,
good.
You know, basically just during they both, you know, both of them performing day 6.
Yeah.
So, Mr. J with his super fast day loads coming in clutch. But
A little
I'll be
bit
right
clutch.
back.
All good. So both of our runners leading into day 6 here. There are really only two things we really want to do here. One is collect the Courage Reactor, the battery that we avoided collecting on day 1 by doing the day 1 extinction trick. And 2, we want to flower up all of the blues that we grew on the last split. So our runners are going to get this Courage Reactor moving and then get these blues out. Mr. J looking like it's got a healthy amount of blues. Curtis also got a healthy amount of blues. It's very good. Need at least 60. It's looking good. Both of our runners taking purples up to these eggs. Eggs have a 10% chance of dropping Mitites, and Mitites will scare your Pikmin. Which means that if you are trying to flower them, that is a bit of an issue. Especially because in this split you are on the clock. Right? Because as soon as that Courage Reactor comes in, that will automatically end the day. And if Pikmin are not in your party and not in the base, then they will die. So you got to be constantly watching to make sure that you're all good on that front. 5%. My bad. So 1 in 20.
All right, I'm back.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
Welcome back, Cap.
Yes. I see that day 6 has happened. No one's
Mhm.
died.
Yep, no dramas, no major issues as far as I can see. And they're both pretty healthy on blue numbers as well. They both got over 60, so...
Yeah, very close.
Oof.
Curtis, as usual, they're very even. Mr. J just has these just dummy fast. You can tell, I think it's Nintendo. You can tell that Nintendo really hangs, honestly, just even in the gap between mail and the area cutscene. Like, that load, I feel like Nintendo normally just chugs through that really hard.
Yeah.
But what was I gonna say? But yeah, it's I'm really glad, you know, day 6. I don't know what you're saying, but it's one of the things where it's pretty simple until the day accidentally ends and you make a mistake and all your Pikmin die.
Exactly.
So it looks like Mr. J is gonna go for the lifeguard, but Curtis isn't.
Interesting.
Also, I'm looking at chat and I see Electric Fortune is in chat, and I also just want to quickly pause and just say GG's on the race today, man.
Absolutely.
It's
GG's for this morning.
It's been a pleasure. I mean, you recently also got a PB like a couple, like what, 1-2 days ago. So yeah, like that was impressive. Anyways, back to the match at hand. Mr. J is going to drown his Pikmin, and then actually dismiss the blues and have the blues. Oh, I really like what Mr. J just did there. I might steal that actually. Where while the blues lifeguard, he whistled the Pikmin with the other captain. Which,
That was smart.
ooh. Yeah.
Good strat.
Oh, I like that. I might workshop that. That actually... The cool thing about Pikmin 2 is that, like, even though execution, you know, there's obviously a differential between top runners and not top runners in terms of overall execution, like, anyone can have an idea, and anyone's idea can be good, you know?
Absolutely. With so much happening in Pikmin 2, especially in these above ground segments, and how they're, you know, fairly consistent between runs, right? Like, there's so many options for what you can do, and you're like, the meta isn't always locked into the same thing. It's really great for all these new people to come in and bring all these new ideas about how to do things.
I was gonna say, just responding to something in chat where Electric Fortune is talking about breaking out of perspective cam, and I want to say that actually it is crazy how important that is. Camera movement is actually, I will say, not a not an optional thing in Pikmin 2. Camera control is actually a skill. And just like any other skill, it must be developed and it must be honed, you know? It's, it definitely is, it has its, you know, there's many different ways you can talk about it, but it is definitely not, like, you know, something that you could just do however you like, you know? It's something that depends on how you're playing the game.
Absolutely.
In any case, they played this. I like how they played this. I'm just hoping that the Blues. He dismissed the Blues in an interesting spot, and so I'm wondering if all the Blues grabbed onto the Ursidae.
Yeah, I'm gonna be interested to see that because they were a little bit further out from that alcove than I would have maybe expected.
One thing that I think is interesting here is both Curtis and Mr. J. For Curtis, it makes more sense. Mr. J might have accidentally not gotten a white on the dig because the spiny alien treat was super slow coming in. But it doesn't matter because as long as it gets carried in the ship area with a purple, it will collect before he gets the subterranean complex.
There we go. Perfect. Yeah, Mr. J recognizing very quickly, instead of waiting around for that and collecting the Pikmin, just swapped one out for a purple and ran, which one purple is hopefully not going to make the difference in this SCX for him. But you never know.
Yeah, but between that, you know, Curtis has kind of pulled ahead in that regard. But again, very, 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 very close race.
Absolutely.
We're only saying that because I mean I think it's kind of phenomenal to have a race this close in Pikmin 2.
I agree. This is really, really high. Subterranean.
So the question is Curtis gonna check? Yep, nope, he's gonna check. Curtis, no, read the gauge. Read the gauge. He told me to be mean to him. It is crazy that you're checking this.
Oh,
Mr.
that's
J
good.
is a genius.
Ah.
Mr. J deserves winning the sub level. I'm sorry. Mr. J read the gauge. He 150% deserves to win the sub level. I'm calling you out, Curtis.
That was well played by Mr. J. Yeah. That was good RNG. That was good RNG.
He literally told me to be mean to Curtis. Curtis told me to be mean to him. And I gotta Curtis has gotta hold that.
Yeah. Usually it is not a bad idea to check that stump room, but usually you'll check it quickly with a captain, right? Just killing the poison geyser, killing the bulb, all of that took a bit of extra time. And when you can see reasonably clearly with the gauge, like, there is a treasure really near to that spawn. You know?
It'd be nice to not say, use score, never check anything ever.
Oh, I wish.
Use your brain to intuit the solution. I mean, no. But yes, basically, I think Curtis spent way too much time in that room.
A little bit.
When, to me, it was, with the gauge, I could tell, even without gore, that there was, oh, Mr. J's playing with some fire here. Oh, I do not like this. I am not a fan.
It's fine.
It's fine. Yep, it's fine. Don't panic. Don't panic.
It's all fine until it's not.
He actually
a little bit of death.
was. Oh, he killed 4 Pikmin. Were they all? Oh, most of them were whites. Okay. Well, this is a little bit dicey, I gotta say. But losing whites here is a pain. But especially in a race setting, it can be salvaged. Because you can just grow more on, you can grow 15 on 4.
Exactly. This is probably the best place
on,
to lose them.
Yeah, but based on Pikmin numbers, I think they're both gonna go for all 3. And so I think that's good.
Okay, Cap, this is one of your favorite sub-levels in the game. Subterranean Complex 3.
So basically, what Mr. J... So he looked around. I want to see what he's doing first. Okay, so Mr. J, very smart here. I like this. I like this. Very smart with using the dismiss here. And he's probably going to want to move... Yeah, he's going to move the spring, and then he's going to do combat. And that is, I think, a very, very, very good option. It's a very strong option because, you know, the gear is going to be moving during this combat. And then, ideally, this spring will also be moved, which is true. Okay.
Bike
He's
was
getting a little
problems.
bit bamboozled by the... Yeah. So, the thing that Curtis recognized, we see how these things are connected. So, it turns out that the springs can go the long way. You can kind of see where Mr. J messed up here.
Yeah.
You know, where like the I don't want to say messed up because it's hard, but like the screw is going the long direction. But Mr. J made the choice to go to the spring first that I thought was really good. I think he's just gonna get. I think Curtis is just gonna catch him on having better pathing here. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
But Mr. J is still ahead, and it's mostly because of sub-level 1. So
Yeah.
maybe think twice before you check the. Maybe think twice before you check the spiral room. That's all I'm gonna say. Just throwing that out there. The consequences will be left to the imaginations of the reader. So Mr. J is smart and growing 15 here.
Yep.
He actually did something that is very smart where he threw the one that was not with the eggs first. So that you finish when you're close to the eggs. Because it'd be really easy. Oh, he accidentally threw white into the abyss. I would be lying if I said I don't do that all the time.
Absolutely. Call that RNG minute. It's fine.
Yeah,
On a set seed race.
clearly. Oh my gosh. See, so Curtis is actually opting to not grow extra whites here.
Interesting.
And there's often a debate over whether or not it's good or bad to grow whites. I don't want to say the debate is settled, but I mean, Curtis has pulled ahead by not growing those 5 whites. I think Mr. J had no choice. But I think that extra growth does take time. And, and that's just worth thinking on, And it's really cool in the race that you can kind of compare those two. Mr. J did not see where the hole was before doing that.
Neither of this layout doesn't lend itself to a trick that runners like to do here called room walk. If the hole is closer to the spawn, well, closer by, how the crow flies to the spawn, but further around, you can do a trick to get up on the ledge. But with the hole being on the other side, both of the runners choosing to run around or just nap down to that lower level and run.
Mr. J did not kill the poison geyser in the large room of the spawn, and that is going to literally burn him. And I want to see if he figure that out. It's going to cause everything to die. Let's see if he can figure that out in time. Lord, yeah.
Oh, he's seen it on time.
This is something that unfortunately you just have to learn.
Yeah.
I have found I have learned the hard way that you just have to kill that Curtis just lost a lot of purples. You have to kill that poison. Like the treasures are always gonna path through that poison. And it's a hard mindfulness thing because you don't path through the poison, But the Pikmin are controlled by waypoints and stuff like that. That is just kind of let outside.
Yeah. And that's definitely one of those things you just pick up with experience. With playing this kind of sub-level, this kind of layout, that kind of room, over and over. You get to know that the treasure's going to path like that.
Foiring me in chat over the time save of growing whites, and I'm like, yes, you can compare the time save that the bulk time save that you get at the beginning of the sub-level. I agree that there is later time save, etc., that you get from growing the other stuff. Mr. J, I gotta say, even though he gambled a shoot ton of Pikmin, and he lost a lot. I mean, notice he's at 74 Pikmin, right?
Yeah.
That's brutal, and that is gonna cost him later in the run, but it was fast. Like, I mean, he pulled seriously ahead of Curtis, but he has 15 less Pikmin than Curtis, and Curtis isn't necessarily high on Pikmin himself, so this is going to be a little bit of a doozy. I don't know where the tower grunt is. Sorry, where the roaming grunt is. So there it is. Hello.
Hello, Mr.
This
Vermio.
is gonna be very awkward. Let's see what happens. Oh, he's fine. Yep, Romeo is too silly. I would have max loaded whites on the whatchamacallit here, on the tape here. Just to get out of Romeo's way, and then you can do this swap here. And see, and then you see how the tower growing kind of smacked the Pikmin that were on the tape. The tape wasn't moving fast enough. You gotta move, Mr. J. You gotta move. You can't throw it. You gotta move.
Mr. J having a little bit of trouble with that tail growth, but gets it down in the end.
The main thing about that kind of combat is that kind of combat doesn't that kind of combat doesn't just randomly work. I mean, there is a certain way you got to do it, right? There's a certain way you got to position yourself to get those pounds, to get that massive damage.
Absolutely.
It's not something that just will randomly happen, you know. And so I think that like that is
Ooh.
that was Mr. J's mistake, because he was just kind of standing there and throwing purples. But he was standing too close. Like, I could tell him he was standing too close. And I think that really, And the thing is, when you're standing too close, like, that's never really gonna work. Like, it isn't gonna magically just work out for you. But, gotta say, Mr. J being super aggressive has at least awarded him a temporary lead over Curtis.
Absolutely. Like, it has been a close race this whole time. It is still a close race, but, like, just that little bit ahead.
Okay, Mr. J now going for an interesting decision that we will see how much it costs him. He is going for
Growing 10.
for a lot of
Interesting.
like growth here. I am very mixed. I have very mixed feelings over growing that many purples, but we will see. Well, so right as as
Yeah.
quickly as I said it, Mr. J has of course now lost his advantage. But he did kill 19 Pikmin, so you know this is what I mean, right? He was fast, but then he paid for it,
Yeah.
and in the end, he did not win.
Yeah, I think if
Also,
most of those deaths were purples, I agree with the decision to grow some. Growing 10 is pretty extreme, maybe, but
Yeah, yeah. He has exactly 25 reds though, so if he just puts the reds on the Ursidae and goes, that is actually very quick menuing.
there we go.
Yeah. See, there you go. Super quick menuing.
Good decisions on Mr. J's part there.
Oh, yeah, they'll go. They'll go. Don't worry about it. Whatever. Yep, it's fine. The thing, of course, is now Mr. J has an abundance of purples and whites going into FC, whereas Curtis is, you know, not that much lower. I mean, only 5 Pikmin in terms of numbers less, but you know, it's something that we'll keep in mind.
Some of those extra purples getting caught by that fiery blowhog on his way up to FC.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Ooh, quite a few of those purples getting caught by that fiery blowhog on the way up to FC. Dang.
Still 16 though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just like you gotta. The thing is that I feel like you gotta just thing is you gotta like save them. Like I don't like. It's one of those things where like, you know, if you're gonna take that time to grow, I guess you're gonna take the time to grow 10. Like why not kill some? But I don't know. I think that you have to kind of like the 5 seconds that it would take to save 6 purples is more time saved than the time loss that it would take from not saying, you know, from not getting 6 purples.
Exactly. Frontier Cavern 1, another interesting one for our runners to see if they can use the gauge correctly and how quickly. Because both of the treasures they need to collect on this floor are buried. So using a combination of score and gauge to try and work out where the hell these buried treasures are. Mr. J doing very well, working out where they are. Looks like Curtis has done the same.
See, you know, here's the only problem is Mr. J didn't kill a dwarf that is going to get in his way later. Like, you see that now Mr. J is going back and he's killing some of these dwarves, killing some of the other things, which is better, right? It is objectively the right decision, but it's just a little bit
more risky.
You know,
sometimes.
yeah, like, you know, he just did he just lose a purple to that? Yeah. he lost a purple to one of the dwarves, and so there has to be kind of this natural dance, you know, where like yeah, you want to rush to the treasures and you don't want to mess around with, you know, killing enemies that you don't have to, but you also want to make sure that it's safe, you know.
Absolutely.
But I mean, Mr. J is obviously hustling. I mean, he obviously is actually being very, very, very urgent. It is just,
Definitely schmovin'.
I agree with Curtis's decision here. This RNG is very good because it has a lot of money.
Yeah.
Which, you know that you're rocking no lens. Curtis is also very clearly right now putting himself into a position where he's going to probably need minimal farming on in Perplexing Pool, if you think about it. I mean, he was 12 Pokos ahead of Mr. J, and he's been very diligent on the Bug Body collection.
Absolutely. Good position to be in, to be honest.
This is kind of awkward, where the decorated Canobeetle corpse was kind of getting in the way of him swarming the treasure. Mr. J, you gotta back up. Come on, buddy. You know that. There you go. That treasure often can get stuck if you don't off-screen it. We just think it gets caught on some edge, and for some reason, when you load it, those physics kind of come into play a little bit more. But when you off-screen it, it doesn't really affect the treasure. So, and Mr. J knows that. So, just keeping track of these things, Curtis is 23 not only having a time advantage, Curtis is 23 Pokos ahead of Mr. J. I just did the math right now. And so just another you know, virtue, I guess, of keeping track of your money, you know, is that it's like Curtis being ahead by this much is nice. Good on, okay, but Mr. J on the come down saw this empty alcove and decided to act on it now. And so that
was a good read.
Really great play, because now he's gonna get that before the bull board, which is just, I think, the right decision.
Yeah, especially if that bull board walks, you know, the bull bear walks in the right way to get close to the spawn. Like, it isn't gonna lose him any time.
I think this is, Mr. J, you really need to whistle some of these Pikmin. The bull bear health is just gigantic, and you're gonna die.
Oof.
It's
a little bailed out by the stun, but
a little bailed out by the stun. I was like, oh, a little bit of... Is that safe from hazards, Mr. J? Do you know this? Getting a little bit spooked? Alright. It's fine, I guess. Yeah. So, Mr. J had a huge advantage here. Oh, Mr. J, well played. Mr. J saw the alcove and got this dig happening first, where, like, Curtis is just now getting this dig sorted. And Curtis might have to... Sorry, and Mr. J might have to watch some of the other carries. But I think the fact that Mr. J tried to go for the treasures before going to the bull bear, that is ultimately a winning strategy.
Yeah. Like, unless that bull bear is in the way or sitting right at spawn at the start, like, where it's, like, readily killable, I think getting everything moving first and then dealing with it is always a good strategy.
The problem is Mr. J's sitting here, but he's not paying attention to the carries. Right? Like, this was being carried by a whole bunch of, like, not whites. And Mr. J was just sitting at the spawn, not doing anything, when he could have switched captains.
Yeah.
And assisted that a little more, you know? So, like, I don't know. I think that there also has to be kind of a recognition of, like, how you're spending your time. This is a split layout, I think, right? And split layouts
looks like it.
Always really interesting. So what is Mr. J gonna go to first?
Okay.
He's gonna go... Oh, this is a real... I love this play. So he's going to ignore all of the anodes, and you can ignore the snitch bug too, and just go for this. And actually, both of them are doing that.
Nice.
So they both decided to do that. So that I think is a winning strategy.
Yeah, really great play from both of them on that one, I think. Using the fact that they both collected those Boldmen on the last floor. Be able to just
Yeah, it's a
ignore
good use.
everything.
It's a good use for Boldman. There's reasons to not collect it. The most famous of reasons. Oh, be careful, Mr.
Ooh. Curtis getting a little bit of
Oh,
zap.
God.
Oh, a little bit of zap. That was
Ooh,
a little bit more than a little bit
getting
of zap.
that. Mr. J just realized what Curtis realized though, where the hole is in a weird spot.
Curtis is gonna be swearing bloody murder about that one. He got picked up by the snitch
Yep,
bug and
no,
then...
Mr. J literally just figured that one out. Yep.
Yeah.
Fun fact: they are now somehow. Oh no, they're not even. I see. Sorry, they were even in Pogos for a second, but they were missing. They were missing the other treasure.
Yep.
So Curtis is actually still 15 ahead.
Uh,
Still, so they actually played that pretty evenly. Oh, just kill him. Sorry, dog. They're just blues. Oh, Curtis. Yeah, Curtis is hurting a little bit here, but the thing is that like it's more a lot of purples, but his white counts are good.
yeah.
And his white counts will kind of carry him. Like the purples really suck here, kind of. Like this is where the purples really suck. But the white counts are going to carry him through. Because, like, the white counts are, like, what carries the treasure. And I think that's why, at the end of the day, I'd rather be low on whites. Sorry, on purples than on whites. Because low on purples just means you have trouble killing. But low on whites means that you can't carry anything.
Yeah. And I mean...
So...
Yeah.
But, I mean, you hate to see the zap, right? But, like, Curtis, for example, despite having, like, half the purples that Mr. J did, like, basically went pound for pound with him on the sub level. Like,
Exactly.
You know, like so, like those less purples didn't actually matter. It was because the whites were the what really controlled the carry.
Yeah. I think at the beginner and intermediate level, having like lower purple numbers is always more of a struggle because you really do have to pay a lot more attention to that kind of combat that you're doing, and you have a little bit less of a safeguard.
Stressful.
But
yeah,
well,
I agree. I mean, I think it's even at the top level, it's stressful. It's just what's worse. Neither is good.
No.
Right? Like,
yeah,
I mean,
both terrible.
I mean, if I lose 12 purples in a run, I'm saying run's dead. I also, if I accidentally sneeze at the wrong time, I'm also saying run's dead. So I mean, think
that's
about
true.
Mr. J did some pausing shenanigans, which I really like, because he scoped out where the alcoves are, but he didn't really have the. But then he didn't go that direction, which I thought was an interesting decision. But he was following. But here's what happened: is he was following the gauge, because the gauge went up, but the gauge was in this kind of awkward spot, and so I think he was just kind of following that a little bit too hard.
Ooh, this is gonna be interesting. He's gonna do a lure, I hope.
Yep, he's got a. You can lure these two though, yeah. Oh, come on. No, they're one of the.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, that sucks, but yeah. So I think the problem with that Curtis did here is Curtis almost did this right, but Curtis underloaded. Mr. J underloaded the bell, but Curtis underloaded the tiller.
Yeah.
And I think that actually hurts more because the tiller is. Ideally, you would actually have kind of better numbers on both, if I'm going to be honest.
Sure.
But also, you guys have low Pikmin numbers, and that kind of hurts.
Yeah. Ooh,
but
Mr. J pulling ahead with that, too.
Yeah. Because I think underloading the tiller was worse there.
Absolutely. Because, I mean, for the tiller A, it's going to move slower because it's heavier. But also B, it has to get dug up. And Curtis kind of left it to its own devices a little sooner than he maybe could have. By the looks of it. But still,
so
I mean,
Mr. J is in the lead, and he's going to be even a little bit more in the lead because of hashtag day loads are broken. But he is lower on money still, though, right? And then we've been talking about this for a while, but like this is kind of where it's going to start to matter, you know? Like that's the thing about going behind in cash is it's something. It's like an invisible time loss. You know, like
Yeah.
you don't see it. It's gonna be now though that I mean, Mr. J, he either is getting Master's Instrument or Cookie, or he's doing a moderate, a reasonable farm. I mean, like I think this is like not a reasonable farm, but Curtis basically doesn't have to farm anything.
Yeah. Curtis is in a very,
Curtis
very
is
nice
just
spot.
gonna rush down through this entire thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, 27 and 18 on whites and purples on Mr. J's part. That's pretty good.
that's actually unbelievably.
That's a
reasonable.
really great spot to be honest.
Yeah, he's just a little bit low on picks in general, so he's gonna have to get.
74.
Oh, you need to get reds, dog.
Yeah, red's gonna be good. It's a good 21 reds you can have there.
I mean, 25 reds in a level with gates. I don't think that's a particularly hard call.
Yeah, I think that would have been a good decision, but
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. Curtis is doing it. I agree with that call, and we'll just see how much they pay for it.
yeah,
Because if it's say a double gated COS4, which I don't know, some individual got that in his most recent personal best. You know, there was if you get a double gated COS4, you know those extra 20 are gonna help you a lot in the race.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of gates, gate on Cos 2.
Yep.
Oof. Not as bad
So,
because you're really using all your Pikmin, but still.
It's
Starting
kind
to
of
burn.
it's kind of less bad than you think. Because now you basically you lose like 8 seconds in the beginning, but then you play gateless, which is obviously like very fast, and also it means that there's no alcoves.
Yeah.
Right? So alcoveless is generally very quick. So you see Mr. J is kind of here, and like this sucks, but now like everything's right here, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean Curtis was behind by like 20 seconds, but he's behind. Like this is when we're having a little bit of purples is a little bit rough, where it's just like, oops.
Yeah. Having to deal with these enemies with lower purples when you're not getting those really nice stun chances is.
So what Curtis is
bit
not
dicey.
doing here, which I think is a mistake, is he needed to start this dig on the duck earlier.
Oh, Curtis is growing
If you want to be
purples.
critical,
I
right?
see.
Well, I guess he has to grow purples.
Yeah.
So I guess in the growing, it's because he had to grow purples, I guess. But like that's something in general. The digs take longer, and so
Absolutely.
like that's something to be mindful of.
No, I agree.
Also, is he cracking weevils? Curtis.
I'm gonna find out pretty soon.
I think he's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. J exploring this COS3 right now. Looks like it's split, I think. Didn't catch what was in that alcove there, but. Ooh. Is this a gateless Cos 3?
Mr. J Mr. J killing some perps. He has some buffer though. Yeah, okay, so Curtis is he's a numbers guy, so he's probably doing out the math right now. And seeing that there's don't throw a purple directly out of anode ever. The radius of flipping an anode is actually quite high. There's never a reason to do so.
Yeah.
You yep.
Definitely not too bad. It's a split layout, but I mean, no gates that you have to deal with. The hole isn't gated, neither of the treasures are gated. The gates are in front of 2 eggs. So that's definitely something you like to see.
So Mr. J kind of goes through this interesting thing here where he's now spending time, where he basically spent a lot of the time ignoring the snitch bug and then went and plucked after, which is honestly I don't like doing it, but watching him do it, it does seem to be kind of an underrated tool here.
Yeah.
He needs to be watching the anodes. Does Curtis?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
oh. Okay, he's fine.
So that actually wasn't as risky as it looked.
That's true.
No, I mean this is actually a very important point. So anodes kind of have this weird rule when they're deloaded, when they're off screen, right? Where
Oh,
Mr. J's getting PC.
okay. With those bug
Just
buddies,
finish my thought
alright.
while I'm here though. So purples have this weird thing. Anodes have this weird thing where they're deloaded, where they'll move but not spark. So Curtis knew that if he was off screen, he would have enough time to flip the anodes before they started sparking, because they won't spark off screen. Okay, this is a decision.
This is definitely a choice. Is that the hole's got to be gated, right? If he's doing this, yeah. Nothing on that
Gotta be.
gate.
No. Oh, see, I don't. Oh Lord, this is a hard one.
Yeah.
So Curtis is not going for it, but part of me now kind of gets the decision making. In a weird way, I get the decision making where like, so Curtis went all the way up that hallway, right? And then he saw that it was PC. But if you're going all the way up that hallway, you've already wasted that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, on Mr. J's part, I'm not sure if I still agree with the decision, because Mr. J is lower on bodies. So, if he's getting TC to skip mine, like, he's gonna need
you're
another
right.
small, right? Because that loses 10 Pokos already, and he's already kind of iffy on bugs. So I'm not sure I agree with that at all.
I haven't been paying attention. This is why, I mean, again, this is why it matters. I haven't been paying attention. I wonder how Mr. J's been good on COS bug farming.
That's
'Cause,
true.
you know, he has to get 35 Pokos and extra bugs.
Yeah.
I mean, he might be committing to Master's Instrument, like, right now. I mean, that's kind of the only explanation that I can... Ooh, a little bit of a rough BLL for Mr. J.
Yeah.
Like, that is the only option that I can think of right now, because because he's going through it. I don't know. Does someone? I mean, you know, I'm not gonna backseat him, but I hope that he knows that he needs money.
It'll be interesting to see, as Teddy says in chat. I think it'll be interesting to see if he does still skip mine, because if he doesn't, and he's just using it as a like, this is all of the bug bodies I ever need, plus maybe a small skip, then I agree with that more.
Actually, thinking about it as bug bodies plus small skip, that ain't bad. That's not bad.
Especially if he thinks City's a little low, like that's not bad. Because I mean, worst case scenario, you just end a little high, but you have just dealt with all of your bug body problems, which is definitely a relief in a race setting. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So
Curtis fumbled a little bit. He needed to nectar, but he activated the whatchamacallit, which burned through a lot of time. He activated the Flint Beetle, and so we had to flip that before going to BLL.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, yeah, it's interesting.
So
I think, frankly, it would be best to bank on. I can't say bank on Cookie, not in a race setting. It would be best to. It would be best to get Master's Instrument and just go.
Yeah, he's committing to no mine. So for someone who's less familiar with NTSC Pokos, Mr. J exited cause with 8806. How is that no mine kind of bug buddies?
You really want like 8860.
Ooh.
For no bugs.
For no bugs.
But of course, you normally get 25, 30 in bugs easy peasy. So I usually like saying 8830.
Okay.
8830, 8840.
Oop, a little bit of trouble with that. Accidentally just ran off.
But 8830, 8840. Bottom line, he Mr. J, no.
I think this is just end of race nerves.
Yeah,
there we
end
go.
of race nerves. You know,
Good try.
But that's the thing, is that like if he gets Master's Instrument, he's fine, I think.
Oh yeah, I agree. He'll need Master's Instrument and the guaranteed bodies and a few extra, I think. But
right, I mean but like a few extra is nothing on 6.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, you normally get 2 anodes extra anyway. You know, like it's
and that's assuming you don't get any like small dwarf ball bears on. Ooh, yeah, okay, Curtis got it. Those purples were pretty far back.
Banking on Cookie. The mad lad is banking on Cookie. Either that, or he literally doesn't know money, which is going to cost him the race.
Yep. I hope he knows that he's low. Is this a
You
cookie
know-
layout? Oh, it's not a cookie layout. Oh, oh, because we have moke throws. Oh, moke throws on 2.
Guess what? There's a thing in the way of the moke throws. Which
Oh,
is
great.
Super cool.
Never
but-
mind.
But
Mr. J absolutely just masterfully
Mr.
getting
J is
single
totally
one.
banking on Cookie.
Perfect.
Okay, he's a mad lad.
Yeah.
He is insane.
Wow.
Mr. J is insane. He's a psychopath. Young-
Reloading that on top of a bread bug thing is also a little bit of a mad lad move. I know the bread bug
Oh,
wasn't
that
so
is a
close,
little
but makes me nervous every time. Okay, let's see how Curtis goes with these moke throws. These are definitely the hardest of the two. Like out of this and GK4,
Really?
these ones really can mess you
Oh,
up.
but Curtis, not Mr. J, sorry, but Curtis pulls it out. Dude.
Yeah,
That's
very
nice.
good, very good. Neither of our runners getting caught out by them particularly. Like that was pretty solid. You love to see it.
Yeah, I gotta say, Mr. J lost. I think the thing is that on that layout, I think TC was too good.
Yeah.
Like I think that Curtis is gonna catch him again, but I think that getting TC actually like really helped. It's
Yeah.
hard.
It is
I
hard.
think we'll have to time it out, but
I
there's
don't
one-
yeah, I don't think it was a straight out bad decision, but I think he did get oh no! Oh, bread bug layout. Damn.
Okay, so the only good news for Mr. J
Oh,
is he just got flip glitch.
oh shit.
Oh no.
Okay, no, he's good. He's good. It's
Oh
fine.
no, all right, yep.
Oh,
Okay,
but
so
now
this
he's gonna
is
have
a
to
little
take
bit-
out
this is a
skeleton
little bit
bread
rough.
bug.
Oh, there it is.
Both of the runners having to deal with this. That's, comes down to who's gonna
Yeah.
deal with these bread bugs better.
But yeah, he's yeah, but that's the thing is that Curtis recognized it a little bit faster though. So again, Curtis was like 15 seconds back, and now he's going to not be. Basically, I mean, he's a little bit of a bounce.
Yeah, that's fine. This blowhog gonna be maybe a little bit of a pain, but I mean, should be fine.
Jay has been doing a real good job at rushing down and being really urgent on loading the treasures.
Yeah.
We'll see. Like, I guess like the like he didn't load the blowhog, and so he was able to more aggressively sort of load the clacker, whereas the clacker is kind of being min loaded and being kind of chased down by this puffy blowhog. The thing about puffy blowhogs that you gotta understand is their range is large. Like, it's not gonna give up. Like, it's just gonna keep chasing that treasure, and so I think Curtis is recognizing that.
Yeah.
But he's gotta. Okay, now it's finally out. But like, it basically chased down that treasure the entire way.
This is still bloody close. Like, there's it's a
It's
treasure
really close.
cutscene in it, and that's it.
Yeah. Mr. J pulled ahead.
He is definitely
The other
sitting
motions are
ahead.
needed. Not
The
oh,
double
oh,
moke throws. Oh no, who picked the seed?
pretty
Spoilers,
mean.
I picked the
Double
seed.
motions
but-
and the red bug steal.
I didn't know
Gonna
this was
keep
gonna be
it
the case.
red.
Oh, is that gonna get bread bugs? No, it's fine. Mr. J definitely could not afford to get that bloody bread bugs.
Some of these Pikmin managements are questionable on Mr. J's. I guess it's fine. What Mr. J is not doing right now is I would load the
Invigorator, absolutely.
Yeah, the invigorator so that it's moving while you mess this up.
Oh no, that's okay. Yeah, he's got it. He's fine.
Also, Curtis isn't doing that either. Come on, guys, both of you know better.
Just put the reds on it. And then you can top it up with whites later. Let's do something. Even just a couple purples, it'll still be moving. Okay. They both get it in the end. Although both of them having a little bit more trouble with this one than GK2, which...
Yeah, it is kind of funny.
I'll admit
I'm
surprised.
I'm mad at both of them though, because both of them like did not invigorate this. Both of them did not load the invigorator during moke throws,
Yeah.
which is something.
Yeah.
A decision.
Maybe a little bit.
Pi says yes, but if you think about it, it's not that bad. Like, there's only a third of a chance. There's a third of a chance that that you have moke throws. No, isn't it a 50% chance that you have moke throws on
On
No, there's
four.
like a 40% chance you have moke throws on 4, and there's a 17% chance you have moke throws on 2. So it's actually only like 1 in 20
Yeah.
or something that to get double moke throws.
Hmm.
Like a 5% chance. Like, it's low, but it's not like
It's not
obviously
Flackless or low.
anti- It's not obviously high pick low.
Yeah.
Cabazon invigorated by their plays. Hey, Fortune, Electric Fortune, you should be taking notes, dog. I'm spitting some facts here.
Ooh, okay.
Also,
Mr. J loading
speaking
all
of which, in Electric Fortune's race, you loaded the boom cone before loading the antenna, and that's a big no-no. And Electric Fortune's homework is going to be telling me why that's a big no-no. Mr. J knows that's a big no-no. You see, he did it in the correct order.
Speaking
But I'm not going
of,
to spoil why. Yeah.
and yet Curtis also
Curtis.
loading the boom cone first. It is the further treasure. but-
Curtis is making me. He's just doing this to make me mad.
Yeah.
I'm
He's
convinced-
listening in on the call and he's just like, you know what? Right now.
He's like, no, I'm gonna be.
Nah.
And I think he's gonna pay for it. I think that there's like whites that aren't. Yeah, I think the cone is gonna come in too quick because the antenna's big. It's slow. I shouldn't be saying
definitely
this
slow.
stuff. I should be leaving it to the Electric Fortune's homework. But like, damn.
Oh yeah, Mr. J getting both of these treasures in pretty much at the same time. Hard to
Yeah,
argue with
I
that.
I think treasure order matters.
Yeah.
Really, really bad.
It's a hard decision because usually, you know, your default is like load the furthest treasure first. But when there's such a big weight disparity between these two, one is being 10-15 and the other being what 35-45 or something, it's definitely it changes the calculus a lot.
So I don't know what the upset. You know, I don't know if I expect to see an upset here, but it's worthy saying that we are on schedule for an upset kind of going into this final stretch.
Yeah, like I
It's
mean,
wild.
pending
No one
something
is safe,
awful
bro.
happening, but
Oh, oh, Mr. J, please. No,
Mr. J.
Mr. J.
Oh, that's
Mr.
not
J,
gonna be
what's the
enough.
What is the plan, Mr. J?
No!
Mr. J, no. Oh, Mr. J, no, it's not
Mr.
the
J,
time,
my
not the
heart,
time for that.
please.
Okay, Giant Bedbug is trolling Curtis really hard, but
Really
this is
hard.
spooky. Nope, but if he gets the treasure stolen, it's over though. No!
Oh, no!
Oh shit!
Oh no, he can't afford
Oh,
that. Oh, he's gonna have to kill that bread bug. Oh.
No. Okay, don't leave that anode for the giant bedbug, dude.
I think he's just moving it
Gotta-
closer.
Oh lord.
He's only put 5 on it.
That is such a tragic misplay. Oh, Mr. J.
No. Oh, that's
Well,
heartbreaking.
when Mr. J watches his back, it's important that Mr. J knows that he was fucking close.
Yeah. Oh, he played phenomenally this whole time, no matter what happens on this floor.
That's my PG-13 one F bomb.
Exactly. I think you used it well.
Lord.
Oh.
See, and he should have kept that anode uncarried so that
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, now he's gonna go on walkabouts. Oh, he's getting his steps in.
Don't throw purples at him over there, Mr. J. That is a bad idea.
That is frustration right there.
Oh, I am
Oh,
am-
no.
so sorry, man. The moral of the story here is what he should have done.
No. Where are you going?
Wait.
Dive
now-
Redbug,
now-
please.
The thing about GK6 is it sounds really mean, but it's all about positioning. And what he should have done is he should have just thrown 2 purples on both of the treasures and then just handled the gate.
Yeah.
But the 2 purples meant that it would never not be carried, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Damn, well, GG's to Curtis. But
With
that
his
is...
perfect 10k Pokos, too. Like,
Yeah,
unless something came in,
that's
yeah.
great. That is, it's a little bit of a heartbreak.
Oh.
It's a little bit of a heartbreak.
But, like, GG to bloody both of them. That was a phenomenal race.
Fast.
That was back
This
and
was so
forth the
fast.
whole time.
Also, he just got health glitch too, which is
No.
how I lost a run earlier.
GG
So-
Curtis. Winning with a
GG.
low 143. Possibly a very high
GG.
142, but... Ah,
Oh, what a shame to Mr. J.
yeah.
It's important for Mr. J's mental game, though, to know that he was ahead into GK6.
Absolutely.
Because he was.
He was. Hey, and speaking of Curtis, a winner, congratulations.
Congratulations, Curtis.
Oh,
GBD, the homie, saving my run.
a little bit, a little
GBD
bit.
kind of was the anti-homie on for Mr. J. This was a close one. You guys definitely had a lot of good going for both of you, but you guys both had. It was actually kind of crazily even the entire one. Like you both had different Pikmin losses at different times.
I killed way too many Pikmin.
Dude, Mr. J killed weight. I mean, I think that's kind of what I'm trying to say. You know, where
Well, that's
there's,
just the Mr. J special. That's not usually the Curtis DN special.
Yeah, no, that's true. Mr. J does kill a lot of his Pikmin.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was so close that like I'm gonna be honest. Like Mr. J was like 10 seconds ahead of you into GK6.
I thought he was
yeah.
gonna win.
Oh, it
Like,
was
he
so
like,
bloody
it
close.
was, Mr. J, you're in the wrong chat.
Hold up. I'll
Mr.
try
J,
again.
go.
Well, he doesn't. I don't.
Mr.
think he-
J, welcome in.
Mr. J.
GG's, dude. That was so fucking. Close.
GG's to both of you.
Jeez.
It was so close. I think.
Did I choke it? Did I really choke it at the end?
Yeah.
It
no,
was just
Jay-
GK6.
I
It
didn't
was. It was a
you were,
combination.
like,
It
legit
was
10
also
to
the bread
20
bug.
seconds ahead into GK6, my guy.
Yeah.
Did you get bread bugged on 3?
Yes.
You both got bread
Both
bugged on
you
did.
3. Yeah.
Okay.
It was pretty
Oh.
unavoidable.
I almost got the shot, but I'm so mad at myself for that. GG's, Curtis.
GG's.
It's
Oh,
okay,
and
dog.
also,
It's the
if you
nerves.
wanna
But hey,
know,
you,
me get
Mr. J, you have
I
losers
wasn't
rep.
even nervous. I just fucked up.
It's all good. You have
I
losers
wasn't
rep,
nervous.
bro.
I just fucked up. And,
No.
yeah,
Nah.
I'm overreacting for the memes.
No,
Okay.
it's all good.
Also,
That's fair.
if you want to
It's all
know, me getting time capsule is actually a mistake. I thought the hole was there.
Oh, I
Time
see.
capsule was
See, I
was actually
down that way.
You both went down that hallway.
Yeah, I got baited.
I actually think I was unsure, but actually after watching the Curtis and you comparison, I think it was actually super fast.
Mhm.
If you already go down there, killing the geyser and having that move while you get the gate down, it actually was way faster than getting aquatic mine. Curtis didn't misplay aquatic mine or anything like that. It just like, and honestly, without seeing the comparison, I wasn't sure if that was faster or not. But Mr. J, you gained a lot of
Yeah.
ground there.
Although to be
I
fair,
I
this-
showed the new strat, by the way, on mine from challenge mode.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, it was
yeah,
good.
Curtis. Yeah, that was you do a very fast aquatic mine.
Oh my god.
I will point out the
Oh,
fact
I-
that Mr. J, you did get a little bailed out by having a cookie layout.
Yeah.
Where you can grab the cookie after that after those moke
I
throws.
will- this is why having by the way, if the stream's still running,
It is.
add Poco Paste to your splits. Like please.
Yeah, I
It
have
helps-
numbers
it
all
helps
over my
you
splits.
It helps you so much.
Like HP,
for
you can
bubble.
show my
We
splits
were
if you
worried,
want.
Mr. J. We didn't know if you had it. We were worried, like, does he know?
know if
Because
I
you
could drag
didn't
him in
get
that
Love
far.
Nugget. You didn't get Love
I
Nugget.
didn't-
You didn't get Master's Instrument. And I'm like, does he know that he's not gonna pay off the debt? And then you got Cookie, and I was like, oh, the Mad Lad knew. I was so worried though for a moment. I'm like,
did.
does he not know?
Okay, here's my thing. I was honestly gonna get Cookie guaranteed on 2 no matter what, just because I knew.
You
It's
knew
just
it.
But
I
it was
got
like
lucky.
all the way in the back.
Then I guess I lose time. Do I want to finish the run or not?
That's true.
You know, that's facts. I
Yeah.
can, that's good.
I
No,
drew
there's-
30 purples and I lost like all of them. You can't be a Mr. J run without losing all your purples
I
and
grew
your
the-
whites
I
and
grew
your
a hot
blues.
For the chat, Pie Pusher put the Discord link in chat, and if you are curious, even if you just want to lurk, you don't have to run, you don't even have to chat, but if you want to check out the, if anyone here somehow isn't in the Discord,
Yeah.
definitely a huge fan of, definitely a huge fan. I think, by virtue of it being close, this is definitely one of the most entertaining races, I think, of round 1.
Absolutely. They've all been
I mean,
I
wonderful,
was cheating.
but
I looked at this. I looked at the seat ahead, Teddy.
I know. Unfortunately, Mr. J, I know that you did not look up the sign. Mr. J, I know you didn't look up the seat ahead based on some of your plays.
yeah.
Also, by the way, I'm only gonna say this now. Mr. J, like, absolutely got like a 25-second advantage by not checking the whatchamacallit, the spiral room on SCX1. Mr. J went from being like 15 seconds behind to like 10 seconds ahead. Just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there.
Well, my issue
I
was that
did-
I saw
I
the
did
gauge was
check.
high, and I just assumed it was there because I'm an idiot.
For me, I did check, and I'm Curtis. Fun fact: look at the gauge because it was
Yeah.
going down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Any
mean,
case, I don't know. Any case, if you somehow hate yourself for some reason, you can listen to the commentary during that, segment because I got really mad.
skipping that part.
No, it's all good. It's all good. No, that was just one. In general, I actually thought it was really interesting. Like it was very, very close, even though it's very, very different. Because like Curtis, you kind of do classic good player Curtis things though, where you were, you were fast and you were aggressive, but you do kind of play it a little bit more methodical, a little bit safe. Whereas Mr. J kind of was all urgency, all gas, no brakes. It meant that he killed all of his Pikmin. But
It
a
doesn't
lot of
matter
all
as
gas.
long as I'm fast, which I,
I
did
mean-
PB, so I wasn't.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, well, it
You
it,
did.
it, it,
Yeah.
it did- it's. I think stylistically, I think it's really cool. There's like a lot that you can learn from everyone. I mean, there was some stuff actually even that Mr. J was doing that I'm like, dang, I should probably play that a little bit more aggressively.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone can learn from each other. So this is great. All right, so I guess with that we should maybe conclude.
Yeah, I guess we'll wrap things up. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for chatting. Thank you to our runners and also my fellow commentator, Cap. I think
And
this has
thank
been
you
a really
to my
bloody
fellow
hype stream.
commentator, Heart.
Thank you. This was a really bloody hype race.
Oh, so hype! More
Yeah.
content soon. Everyone, drop a follow, and
Yep.
and I'll see you guys. I'll see you all later.
Yeah, we will be back very, very shortly in the next few days to the next week with round 2 of the Payoff Debt 2022 tournament. I'm
That
not
was the
entirely sure
last
who's going to be the
round?
first one. This is probably going to be the last match of the first round of the tournament.
What a good match to end it on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what a
there you go.
cracker. Honestly,
Yeah.
fantastic.
All right. Bye, everyone.
All right,
Thank you so
see
much.
you everyone.
Wait, you're gonna miss me getting
Bye.
onion replica, dude.
Sorry, Curtis.
Sorry,
Alright,
Curtis.
we gotta go.
See you everyone.
Bye.